A common thing I hear from dog lovers is, my dog just isn't food motivated. In this episode, we're going to discuss motivation and rewards. I'm going to explain what you can do about this and give you some pointers on motivating your dog. We'll discuss how to choose rewards and everything else you need to know about setting your dog up for success in dog training.
Welcome to the Dog Guy Josh Show, a podcast about canine culture and lifestyle, hosted by Josh Pitts, a certified dog trainer.
What's up, everyone? Josh here. Hope you're having a wonderful week wherever you are in the world. Today I want to talk a little bit about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, motivating and rewarding your dog. First, I just want to comment, if you are free feeding your dog, meaning you leave their bowl down for them to access any time of the day at their choosing, stop it right now. The reason I say this is that it completely kills motivation for training. I can't recall how many countless times I've heard a dog owner say, my dog just isn't motivated by food. To me, this is absurd because if a dog wasn't motivated by food, they would starve to death. Food is a primary reinforcer. While puppies may need to eat 3 to 5 times per day, most adult dogs should only be fed twice. Personally, I think feeding an adult dog once per day is a mistake as well. When using food rewards, I suggest using small pea-sized treats. The reason for this is that you can get more repetitions out of your dog during a training session because it takes your dog longer to get full. I'm not saying it's wrong to give your dog a larger biscuit from time to time, but using large rewards prevents greater strides in progress because it will take a dog a lot longer to learn something at this pace. I've been over to people's houses before and they pull out their box of biscuits and they ask their dog for a sit, and they do 2 or 3 sits with these large biscuits, and then all of a sudden the dog just doesn't want to work anymore. Instead, when you're first starting out, you could also use a portion of your dog's daily meals for training. This may work in a low-level distraction, but dogs almost certainly will not work for their kibble and high levels of distraction, meaning it's just not appetitive enough. It's not tasty enough as other flavors like freeze-dried beef liver or cooked bacon or chicken, which are much more appetitive regardless of the distraction level. I want to talk briefly about small dogs. Small dogs can be very challenging to train, but not because they're stubborn or unmotivated. They just don't consume or need as many calories. Instead, you can portion their normal food out ahead of time and use it for enrichment throughout the day. Or, to spare you of the repetitive motion from bending over for a small dog or laying on the ground, try using a wooden spoon coated in peanut butter. You can give your dog a lick and then pull the spoon back up between repetitions. One thing I like to do is put the spoon in the freezer for 15 to 30 minutes to let it chill and harden in the freezer. When it comes to rewards, your dog decides the value of the item. What might be important to one dog might not be so important to another. As I mentioned before, you'll want to save the highest value of treats for the most distracting of situations, the ones your dog goes bonkers for. I encourage you to experiment with different types of commercial treats as well as human food. I personally love using freeze-dried beef liver. Rolled food can be tasty too when cut into tiny pieces. If you're on a budget, you could try something like Charlie Bears from Trader Joe's. This can be an affordable option since they're really small and they're a good price per pound. I think at my Trader Joe's I can get a pound for $3, and that is an excellent buy compared to shopping at a pet store and spending $8 to $10 on commercial treats that only last one session. I also like to use carrots, popcorn, cheese, fruits, and other vegetables. It changes up my dog's routine so that they don't get bored working for plain kibble. I also have an article on my blog titled, I think it's 34 human foods dogs can eat and 14 to avoid. And I encourage you to do your own research on what dogs can and can't have. It's partially a myth that dogs shouldn't have human food because it encourages begging. Feeding your dog from the table encourages begging. Using human food in training, though, initially may create an onset of curiosity for begging at the table, but as long as you are not reinforcing the behavior, it will go away. And it helps if you redirect your dog to your bed or their crate while you're eating instead. Toys and games can also be used as a reward in dog training, but they're not ideal for individual repetitions compared to food. Instead, I like using toys for generalizing and proofing behaviors, and we talked a little bit about that in the last 2 podcasts. Ask your dog for a sit or the new behavior you've been working on, then throw the ball or play tug. Give your toy as a reward when the training's all done, and that can make training itself fun and therefore something to work toward. In some cases, we can provide access to other things dogs enjoy, known as functional rewards. Some things, like petting and scratching, can be used as well, but again, this is not ideal for individual repetitions when a dog doesn't value it because it isn't as motivating as food. They are generally not considered a primary reinforcer. Praise can and always should be used as a reward too. Referring back to the podcast on capturing, with lots of energy and excitement, you can say, "Good dog, yes, way to go." I hope you found this helpful in thinking a little bit about motivation and rewards. I encourage you to see what works with your dog and what doesn't work. It's really a myth that dogs are stubborn and won't work for food. It's really a matter of how we set them up for success. So if you have a small dog that doesn't eat a lot, use its normal kibble instead. If you're working with a reactive dog in public and it won't take the freeze-dried beef liver anymore, either you're too close or your reward just isn't motivating enough. I once worked with a reactive dog client whose dog would only take cooked bacon that was cooked that morning. If it was a day old, didn't care. But as long as we had fresh cooked bacon, that dog would work and work and work. And that was how we eventually overcame the dog's reactivity issues. And so sometimes, it can be a little struggle at first if you're just taking a group class or you're trying to figure out what motivates your dog. Don't be afraid to experiment with different things. A lot of the time dogs like stuff and they'll gladly take it at home, but the second you start carrying food in public, they won't take it anymore. So bring a couple options with you in your treat pouch, and you're going to see much better results in the long run. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Dog Guy Josh Show with Josh Pitts. Like what you just heard? Tell your friends about DogGuyJosh.com and join us next time.